If humanity actually descended from just Adam and Eve, wouldn't that mean their children had incest? I asked a priest that once as a kid. He said not to think about it. Oh boy, you cannot imagine how much incest there was in history, not even talking about Adam and Eve, just like real history. Yes, even in non-religious history, incest used to be very common. Yes, many cases of this in the Old Testament before the Levitical law prohibited it. Abraham married his half-sister Sarai, Lot's daughters got him drunk and then slept with him to continue his bloodline, etc. As my computer science professor once said, everybody has 2 biological parents. Those parents had 2 parents for 4 grandparents. Those parents had 2 parents for 8 great-grandparents. And then 16, and then 32, and then 30 generations back is about 1 billion. There were not 1 billion people on the planet 30 generations ago. Therefore, we are all products of incest. Though I'd imagine coming from literally only 2 people would be a smidge worse. Yes duh. I'm an atheist, but I can take the literal definition that Adam and Eve were the only 2 people on Earth and that they populated Earth on their own and figure out that incest in that situation isn't necessarily a bad thing. You have a man and a woman with perfect genetics. They have children and those children fuck and have children and so on. This could go on for many, many generations without any issues because none of the genes have mutated. After genes start mutating and becoming more normal, that is when problems exist with incest. That could be thousands or tens of thousands of years, not sure, not a geneticist. The story of how the world was populated isn't really that different. We started with a couple of mutations here and there, and the way humans populated was through all kinds of incest. There were only a few people who actually migrated so far north that they crossed over into what is now Alaska. Those people were fucking brothers, sisters, and cousins as they populated all of what is North and South America. In Judaism, rabbis and scholars fill in the gaps of the Torah with fanfiction midrashim. One such describes Cain leaving Adam and Eve and finding the humans that lived outside the Garden of Eden and fathered his lineage with them. It's very easy to make the haha religious people stupid point here, but I wanna say this. Back when these stories were created, people's entire lives were completely different from ours, so was their perspective. The way we think about stuff nowadays, often focused on if something is scientifically possible correct, just wasn't around in the same way as it is today. I don't want to say that our modern way of thinking is bad BTW. There was a much greater focus on the meanings of things. When they heard the story of how the snake told Eve to eat the apple, they didn't think, wait, snakes can talk. They thought, what does this mean for me? These stories aren't meant to tell you what actually factually happened. I know 3 theologists who believe in God and who studied the history of religions for a long time, and none of them believe in this fundamentalist crap of thinking the earth was actually made in 7 days or Adam and Eve were the first humans. English is not my native language and it's hard to convey exactly what I want to say, so I hope it's kinda understandable. Adam and Eve had 3 boys. Think about that for a minute too. No, see, God suspended the normal way biology works just for them and their children, and probably a few generations after that. Then incest became bad and led to inbreeding. Then he suspended biology again for Noah and his family, and the next few generations before making incest a horrible sin that would lead to inbreeding. See, if you ever have a question about why things in the Bible don't make sense or contradict itself, just tell yourself that God used his magic to make it work somehow. And remember, questioning or thinking too hard about it is a sin and you'll burn in hell for all time for doing so. Yes. Do people really worry about made-up nonsense like if we actually descended from Adam and Eve? Wait, is that an answer or should it have been a whole new post? The Garden of Eden was in Alabama all along. Adam and Eve got it on with all the cave people that God created before humans, because the magic book doesn't believe in evolution. The Bible condones slavery and genocide. Why would incest be a special exception? Can't believe I haven't seen anyone point out that Adam and Eve were the first humans, not the only humans. It would kinda explain the stupidity of humanity tbh. God created biology much later than Adam and Eve. According to what I have been told by my religion teacher in school, the answer is yes, and according to the teacher, Eve birthed twins, a boy and a girl, and then she birthed another twins, another boy and girl. The boy from the first birth mated with the girl from the second birth, and the girl from the first birth mated with the boy from the first birth. I imagine that way they have as much genetic differences as possible,